Yo, 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 what is up, my peeps? It is your main man, Cop here. We're back with another video for you. This is a bit of a different one than I most normally do, and it's probably why I'm not streaming it, is because it's a little bit different. A lot of people have asked me and said, hey, Cop, what kind of add-ons do you use? Or what add-on do you use for this, that, or the other thing? And I'll always explain if anybody asks that kind of question, but I thought I'd do an add-on video because it does keep getting asked, and most of the add-ons I've got right now are working, and most of them have a use, so I thought I'd show them to you. First, let's actually bring up my interface here so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. So, this is my interface. It's, as you can see, nowhere near normal. I'm just going to minimize all that objective silliness before we bring up my add-ons. Now, let's just go through them alphabetically, and I'll talk about what each one does a little bit. I don't want this video to be 2 or 3 hours long, and this is the 572nd take I've done of this since ambulances and fire trucks and noisy neighbors across the hall keep happening, so I've had to restart this thing so many times. And I'll probably still get it wrong. So let me just start with the first one. As you guys know, I have a lot of toons. I actually have 50 toons, because that's the maximum that the account will let me have. So, Alcoholic and all its subsidiary add-ons here, basically they say, if I mouse over something, let's say I mouse over, oh, well, I'm going to mouse over something that I know lots of people have. Oh, how about some tricky treats? I mouse over that. Back there, Cop, come on. I can see that I have 4 tricky treats in my bag. But I look at my Death Knight Anjay and I can see he has 41 tricky treats in his bag. That works for everything from tricky treats to parachutes to food. So you can see, and it shows what's in your guild bank as well, assuming you, from the last time you scanned it, that is. So that's what Alcoholic does. It will store everything from achievements and characters and all kinds of good stuff. Oh, see, told you I'd still get it wrong. Completely forgot probably the most important add-on I've got right now. It's called Add-on Control Panel. And what Add-on Control Panel does is it allows a much nicer control of the add-ons. As you'll see this interface, and it looks a little different than the standard add-on interface. And what it does is it allows me to save sets for different uses. And I've got sets here like a default 0 set that has absolutely no add-ons loaded. I have a default set if I'm making a brand new character, a default set for monks, a set I had for the pre-patch of stuff I knew worked, a set that I used for Init Brub in November, a set that I use for my bank toon, all kinds of stuff like that, so that if I'm setting up a character really quickly, I can set what add-ons I want to run on them in essentially 2 or 3 clicks, which is really nice. Next, let's talk about angry stuff, because that's next in the list. Angry assignments and angry keystones. Basically, it's a set of tools that a raid leader or the tank in a dungeon can use to assign things to people. And say, hey, this is your job here, you're going to go soak puddles that are come up in this quadrant, and you're going to go and, you know, DPS the ads that come up in that quadrant, and you're responsible for this. That's what that all does. Now, my raid leader doesn't currently use that, so it's disabled. I imagine if I get back into Mythic, it might come and get used to. And Angry Keystone's basically a very similar thing for 5-mans, and it or Mythic plus 5-mans rather. I'm gonna read the little thing. There you go. Gives you a little additional information. Adds little markers for when you're 3 and 2 chesting. That's even a thing anymore, but it probably isn't because I changed all that in Legion. Shows you how many Mythic pluses I do. Archeo Helper. It essentially adds a heads-up display and a set of extra keys that I can click on for when I'm doing archaeology and grinding that out. It allows me to, on the heads-up display, if I do my survey and the little light blinks red while I click the red button, and it puts up on the heads-up display a cone of where that could be in red, or yellow, or green, right? And it gives you a better idea where you can start looking. It really, really it speeds up the process of archaeology. Always good. I haven't really gotten into archaeology this expansion yet, so it's not on. Atlas. Atlas is, pardon me, a lot of add-ons. And a lot of subsidiary add-ons. Essentially what it is what an atlas is. It tells you where things are. And it does that on your map. So, if I wanted to know where a particular piece of loot was from, and I had all my atlas loots on, I could mouse over the loot and it would say, this sword here comes from Spoils of Pandaria in Siege of Orgrimmar. That's what the Atlas loot is for. Atlas major cities, you can put the little markers for the entrances to all major cities around the world. Atlas quests will put markers for where there's quests around the world. All that good stuff. Really simple. We've got a couple of auction add-ons. Auction sold. One of my favorite add-ons. Anytime one of my auctions sells, a little thing will pop up and it'll say, auction sold by Grasshopper. And then they'll have a little audio cue from the immortal, the one, the only, Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, who will say, Bazinga. And that's one of my favorite noises from that show, so Bazinga. It gets your attention for sure. Next is Bad Boy. Essentially what that does is anytime there's spam, it doesn't allow you to see it. It just takes it away. Anything that's Blizzard classifies as spam, it just won't show it. And instead, what happens is a little shield icon will come up here, and if I mouse over that shield, it'll say Bad Boy Gilded Spam Prevented, and you click on it to report it, and it sends a spam report to Blizzard. It's all automated, and even if I don't see it, I just don't see the spam, which is really nice. Next, we've got Bagnon, and Bag Brother stores the data from other characters' bags. What's in their bags? Bagnon is what turns the standard bag interface into this. It's all one bag instead of a backpack and 4 smaller bags, or bigger bags in this case, because I'm wearing 30 slot bags. Anyway, it makes it a much nicer interface. It's all one, so I can arrange it how I want it instead of doing Blizzard's ham-fisted, okay, I can mark this bag for that bag for... I just arrange it how I want it to be. And that's essentially what that is. Really simple, really streamlined, and I like the way it looks. I really do. Next, we've got probably the second most important add-on I've got going right now. It's called Bartender 4. Bartender replaces the standard Blizzard UI with whatever you want it to be. It will rearrange the bars. It will add bars and take bars away. It'll allow you to move bars all over the screen, resize them, reshape them. I like this particular way they're done right now because of a different add-on I'll tell you about later. Essentially, it's that the keys on the side of my MMO mouse are configured in a 3x4 grid, and this really helps train my mind to know if I need, at a moment's notice, to use a health stone, and I know that the keys to the left side of my main column are all control keys. I know that the middle top is 2, whereas if I need to summon a mount really fast, I know that's the middle bottom, and that is the dash. Really simple, works really well. And of course that allows me to assign those keys, right, as well. Next, Champion Commander. It's a simple add-on. It streamlines your table for your followers in Battle for Azeroth, and just makes it so you can see what the completion percentage of a mission is before you even click on it. And so it'll tell you the maximum completion percentage of that mission. Maybe it's 60%. Maybe it's 200%. And when you click on that mission, it will try and fill it to the best of its ability. And it will give you other buttons along the side to kind of show you, okay, maybe I don't want to use 3 followers. Maybe I want to use 1 follower and 2 heroes that are assigned to it. Whatever. That's what that's for. Chatter. Chatter is awesome. Chatter replaces the standard chat frame with this. It's a much more, how do you kids say it, gooey interface than the standard chat frame. It's got a black background instead of the clear one, which makes it easier to read the words. And as well, I can move it around natively without using a bartender to move it around, which is nice because sometimes bartender doesn't work because there's been a patch and chatter does, or vice versa. As well, as you can see, we've been sitting here talking for a while in a major city. I'm in Silvermoon, and you'll see no trade chat has come up, no general chat has come up, no local defense has come up, because I've got those in different tabs. So if I am somewhere like in Siege Rogrimmar, I'm not going to see the trade channel. I'm not going to see the general channel. I'm just going to see what's here, and my guild will show up. I could put guild into a separate tab as well, and then go into that tab when I'm in raid, but there's no real need. Because if I do that, then I don't see whispers, because it says whispers in it as well. Chef's Hat, I don't have it on right now because I've been spending a lot of time as a cook. What Chef's Hat does is, if you've got the Chef's Hat toy, if you've earned that, every time you go to cook, it will put the Chef's Hat on, and the Chef's Hat increases the speed of your cooking. And I used to also add 15 skill points to it, but I don't think it does anymore. So it puts on that and the apron if you have it. I think there was 3 things that you could get in back in Half Hill and Pandaria, and it would put them all on, which would increase the speed of your cooking quite a bit. Darkmoon Faire quest status, really simple mod. Essentially those quests for the Darkmoon Faire that you get by having the Darkmoon Adventures Guide in your thing when you're in a dungeon or PvPing or what have you. It tells you if you've completed them yet this month, and if not, you know which ones you have and haven't done. Of course, it's not used. You'll notice it's not using any memory right now because the Darkmoon Faire is not in town, so it's not going to tell me anything. Next, we have another big one, Data Store. Data Store isn't so much a mod into itself as it is something that other mods use. This is what Altaholic references when it wants to know what other characters have. It's where it essentially just stores information, and when the other add-ons want to know something, that's where they go to get it. So DBM, Deadly Boss Mods, I'm sure 99% of you know what this is. Essentially, it is a party, raid, PvP add-on that gives you warnings. It says, hey, Garrosh Hellscream is about to summon those little spinning wheels of death. You better move. Siege Rogrimmar, again. I was just thinking about that because I didn't get to do that on the Mount Run last week. So, anyway, that's what that does. Is it'll give you warnings for all kinds of things from world quests, world events, raids, PvP, dungeons, and it's got the broken individual ones for all kinds of the expansions and different things. Like Karazhan has its own one, so does Icecrown Citadel, but Pandaria has one, right? So anyway, that's another really big one. Next is Decursive. I'm just going to move this over here because my Decursive thing is right down here. Decursive's another really important one to have on. Essentially what Decursive is, if there is a deleterious status effect, something bad is on you, like you've got poison, and your character has a spell that will remove it, clicking in this little button here will remove it. This means that I don't have to necessarily have detox on my action bar. Because if I have a poison on me, this will light up red, and I'll click it, and it'll cast detox on me. Whether I have the poison on or not, it'll cast it. But as you saw, decursive says, there's nothing to cure, moron. Anyway. That's what decursive is. Another really neat thing with it is I can mouse over it, and I can use those. So for instance, I can alt middle click, and it will focus that person. And this will put up a little square for everybody in my party or raid. So if down here, say there was there was 25 squares here, and I was in raid with my guild, one of the squares lit up, and the healers are stressed, I can click on that myself, and without deselecting the target that I'm DPSing, I can remove whatever effect it is that I have the capability of removing. Really, really nice. Some say its usefulness is kind of gone, since most healers can remove most everything. I like having it in the field for being able to focus a target, heal myself, or dispel myself like that. It's just, again, I really like it. So, dialogue key. Dialogue key, when I talk to someone, if this is enabled, it's not right now. Again, as many as possible disabled because, you know, I was in raid earlier. And I want to save as much memory as I can. But what dialogue key does is I talk to an NPC and he gives me 6 different options to choose from. Well, it'll put a number up besides each of those options. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if I click the number 1, it'll choose option 1. Click the number 2, it'll choose option 2. It's not the most useful because it will also, you'll notice I have 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, set on my action bars as well. So it'll try to use that key as well as the dialogue, but it
picked up by Martinez. Martinez to Clifford. Feed to the right side to Foley with a shot. Save rebound.
Sorry about that. See what I mean about doing this 500 times? I'm not redoing it. I'm not editing it. You guys know me long enough. You can live with having a bit of an interference in our video. So that was dialogue key. Obviously, it won't attack a vendor, because you can't attack a vendor, for the most part. Unless you can, in which case you're going to be in trouble. Easy delete confirm. Really, really nice add-on. Especially for me, when I do a lot of transmog farm and gold farm and mount farm. Sometimes you get those little bits of loot in your bag that you can't sell and you can't use, and they're marked as epic or rare. So instead of, you know, dragging it out here and having to type in DELETE, I just drag it out here and it says, do you want to delete it? And I click OK. It removes a step. It's much smoother. Really, really nice. Easy mail. I should actually show you this one. Hang on. We'll actually find a mailbox here, because there should be a mailbox around here somewhere. And while I'm finding a mailbox, I'll explain what Easy Mail does. So Easy Mail, it uses the data store to store your characters' names that you sent mail to recently. And it will allow you... There used to be one right here. Oh, there's one. There's a mailbox. So if I've sent mail to... My last mail I sent was to one of my toons called Mystery. So it will pop that up as the default. And it will keep a list of the last bunch of toons that I've sent mail to, no matter where they are. And I can just scroll down. Or if I wanted to send something and I'm to Anjay, and you saw there's 2 toons there with Anjay, I'd just start typing. And I'd get Anjay Cairn, but no, I want to send something to Anjay on Firetree. So I just type ANZ. Oh, there's Anjay for Firetree. That's what that does. It also adds these keys. These are select one, select all. Select one on a page, select all on a page, and open and receive everything that's marked. Really handy. Blizzard had something similar to it. I don't like that interface. Plus, Easy Mail had it first. So that's what that's for. Easy Scrap. Oh, Easy Scrap's a nice little one. I cannot recommend it enough. What you do is you go to the scrap bot in Draz Talor or Borealis. You click on it, and a little window will pop up below the scrap window with everything that can be scrapped. You can either click the Q All button, or just click on the ones individually that you want to scrap in there without even looking in your bag. It will only take things that are in your bag, but that's what that does. It's really, really quick, especially for someone like me who I have an eye level of... let me just bring it up because it should actually be a little bit higher than it was. Yeah, I'm 366. So unless I'm in content that gets, has a possibility of 367 or higher, or 350 or higher for most of it, anything that I get, I'm for the most part going to want to scrap. Anything 350 and up, I'm going to want to keep. Below 350, I'm going to want to scrap. So if I'm doing world quests and I get a bunch of green and blues and that, I'm not going to want to keep any of that. I can just hit Q all, and off it'll go. It'll scrap it all. I'll get a bunch of, for the most part for me, useless bits. So next, Elite Player Frame Enhanced. It's one of the most asked about add-ons I have. Only you don't know you're asking about it when you do. What Elite Player Frame Enhanced does is it adds a bit to my character portrait. You'll see here, I've got a golden dragon around my player frame. Well, that's because I have Elite Player Frame Enhanced on. As you guys know, a golden dragon means that the mob that it's on is an elite level mob. If I was leveling, in other words, below maximum level, that would be a silver dragon that would be around my portrait, meaning I was just only a rare mob. It's just a little bit of vanity. I love it, personally. Next, we've got Fishing Buddy. What Fishing Buddy does is, and this is why I haven't got it equipped because I haven't grinded fishing yet in this expansion. As soon as I put on a piece of fishing gear, whether it's my hat, Nat's hat, or my dragon fishing pole, it will put on all the other pieces of my fishing gear. It will turn my sound right up so I can hear the bobber go and the splash when a fish goes onto it. It'll summon a fishing companion. There are options there for when you can have it automatically buff your fishing rod with a lure of your choice. You can have it throw down the spear, the Kaluak's fishing spear, I think it is, or whatever have you. Whatever it is that buffs your fishing, it can do it automatically for you. It's really nice. Next, we have Garrison Manager, Garrison Commander, Garrison Mr. Manager. What all that is for your Warlords of Draenor garrison. Remember what I said about Commander table? Same thing, only for your tables in Warlords of Draenor. Really simple. Gathermate 2. What this is it's whenever anybody in my guild who has this add-on gathers an herb, that add-on in my thing will get a note of it. And it'll say, hey, Grasshopper's Gathermate sharing. I just found an herb here before. Have you seen that herb before? No? Well, you better take note of it. And it'll store it in the data. Then when I do an herb, everybody in my guild and on my friends list will get a thing saying, hey, Grasshopper just found an herb here. Now, all of this is behind the scenes. It won't come up in your chat or anything. It's all done behind the scenes. The reason for it is when I go to my map, it will show all the little herb nodes of where everybody has ever found an herb, because I'm an herbalist. We'll do the same for mining nodes. It'll do the same for archaeology nodes. Anything with a fixed node where we might not know where it is. This goes back to my Archeo helper, which is really nice. What it does is it'll put up all the little where the actual bits have been found inside that archaeology field on my minimap. and on my heads up. So if I am, surveying archaeology and I get a little green window, which means there's a very small area I can go to, I'll just look, and if there's one in there that's already got a little icon in it, I know it's most likely that one. And I could just go there and go ding, 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 and get my little thing really fast. Like I said, a lot of these add-ons talk to each other and really enhance each other as well as the game itself. Next, gotta go fast history. It's an improvement to the base default Mythic Plus timer. It tells you where you are at for the different levels of time, whether you're going to make it in time, whether you're going to make it in 2+ time, 1+ time, just make it, that kind of thing. Or whether you're completely beyond making the time, how many mobs you need to kill, what bosses are left, all that kind of stuff. And it's got a history, so it'll show what you've done before in that Mythic Plus. Again, not doing Mythic Pluses today, so it's not enabled. Grail. This is a very recent one for me, Grail and all its attached ones, and I don't have it on right at the moment because when I got it, I was looking for a way to find quests that I didn't know about and hadn't finished yet. And that's what this does, is it tracks every single quest that you've ever done has been marked as being done. I mean, that's how Blizzard does it. It'll say, oh, he went and killed 10 boars in such and such a zone for quest 1457323. So that quest won't show up again. Well, it in here it goes, oh, I see in your character thing that you've done quest 145732353, and won't show it. But if it hadn't done that quest, it would show me on the map where that quest is, where I can get it, and that way I can go and find it and get it and be kind of a completionist. The next one, I'm sure a bunch of you, again, have this one or know about it. It's called GTFO. It's something to do with 4 GTOs. I'm not real sure. I'm not real sure why they named it after cars, but essentially, if I'm standing in bad stuff, it'll go honk, honk, honk until I stop standing in bad stuff. It's kind of smart too, because if I've got my Touch of Karma Absorb on, it stops honking. And when my Touch of Karma goes off and I'm again taking damage, it'll honk at me again. The next one is Handy Notes and a whole ton of attached sub add-ons. Handy Notes, much like Gathermate, essentially shows you where every single possible discoverable thing is. So if I have Handy Notes BFA treasures on, it'll show me where every single treasure chest is that I haven't gotten already. Because just like quests, when you get a treasure chest, it's marked in your character that you've got it, and so you won't no longer see it, right? Really handy. Again, if I'm out bebopping around in the world, I'll have that up. It's got stuff like repair vendors and, Timeless Isle treasures and Suramar locations of telemancy and stuff like that. It's invaluable for clearing out zones of little things you might not know where they are. Another thing is, if the thing that you're trying to clear out is in a cave or underground, if you mouse over it on your map, it will say, inside a cave, entrance located at blah blah blah. Invaluable for finding things. As y'all know, I get lost more than any person on the face of the planet. Okay. The next one, kind of a PvP mod, but not exclusively. It does work for PvE rather. It's HHTD. It's Healers Have to Die. What Healers Have to Die is, anytime you're in combat or about to be in combat for PvP and you mouse over a healer, it'll put a mark over that healer's head and it'll say, you got him, and show you that that guy's a healer, because healers have to die. It just makes PvP that much easier. And if you're in a fight where there's a dedicated healer to the boss, it'll do the same thing. So if you're on, I can't even think of any off the top of my head. You guys know I'm not a raider, not by definition a raider, but it will do the same thing. So say, pretend, to go to the Siege of Orgrimmar again, pretend Garrosh had a bunch of Dark Shaman that would come out and heal him in a certain phase. When that Dark Shaman would come out, even if he was surrounded by 100 Kor'kron elites, if you moused over him, a little pink triangle would pop above his head and it would say, you got him, this is the healer that has to die. Really useful. The next one is In-Flight. Oh, that's a nice one. What In-Flight does is essentially what it says on the tin. Anytime I go to a flight master and I mouse over the destination I want to get to, it'll give me an estimated time based on its own estimations and what it's taken me in the past to get there. And it'll tell me how much, of course, because that normally does that. And then it will pop up a little timer here, and it'll time every single taxi I take from one to another. And it'll keep that data for how long it takes me to get from A to B. The next one is a nice one if you're trying to improve your skills at interrupts. What it does is every time you interrupt a mob with a cast that you can interrupt, whether it be, I interrupt him with my spear-handed strike, or I knock him down with my leg sweep, or I paralyze him with paralysis, or I use my quaking palm to paralyze him. It will say, Grasshopper interrupted Garrosh Hellscream with leg sweep in party and raid chat. Okay? What that does is, or raid chat I should say, because it's actually instance chat. What that does for you is it lets you know you were successful at interrupting. And by looking out for that and trying to interrupt everything, it helps me in the back of my head figure out what I can and can't interrupt a lot quicker and a lot more instinctively than looking to see if there's a shield next to the cast bar. Because oftentimes I'm looking at 100 million different things when I'm in a fight and looking to see if the shield has a cast bar on it, not necessarily the easiest thing to notice. So that makes it a heck of a lot easier. Next is item link level. What that does is very simple. It adds an appendix onto any item that comes in your chat, and it will say what the item level is and what slot it's for, or what armor type it is. So if somebody links something to me and says, hey, do you need this? And it says, for instance, let's do this. Close this so I can do it proper. Somebody links me this here fist weapon, that's 345, it'll say fist weapon, you'd probably say main hand or offhand or just weapon, fist weapon 345. Or if they linked me this helmet, it would say 355 leather helm azurite. And I would know that I already have a 370, and I would say, nope, don't need it, thanks. This is especially good if you're using a loot council, because I know just by the thing popping up in my chat, as it says this person looted XYZ, I know if those things are stuff I need or not, because I know if it's leather, mail, plate, or cloth. I know what item level it is, I know what slot it's for, and by knowing what I've already got, or having a really good idea of what I've already got, I know if I need it or not. Okay? Really, really useful. That's item link level. I know this is a really long video, guys, and I'm good for long videos, but I appreciate you hanging in with me. We're already about 34 minutes in, and we're getting very close to being done. Leatrix Plus. It is what it says. It's a quality of life add-on that does just about everything under the sun. If Leatrix Plus is the only add-on that's functioning, it can do most of what the other add-ons do, nowhere near as good as the others can. but it'll still do them. It does stuff like it can vendor trash and automatically repair and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to open up because we'd be here for another hour and a half exploring all the little buttons. It's very comprehensive. I don't generally need a lot of it, but there's a couple little things in there that kind of are good. I'm not going to go through them because it's just too much. LOZ recorder. That is the Legend of Zelda recorder. And as you can see in the description, it plays the recorder sound from Legend of Zelda when you use the flight whistle. Or as we know in our streams, chirp chirp good burp. Now, if I go /LOZ and bring it up, you'll see that there's more than just the Legend of Zelda. There's the Legend of Zelda NES. There's the whistle from Super Mario Bros. 3, the warp whistle. There's the one, there's a Adventure Link whistle. There's the one I use, which is the Link to the Past whistle from the Super Nintendo. And there's the Ocarina of Time Epona Summon whistle. All of them really good. Again, it's just a little quality of life add-on like the Elite Player Frame Enhanced. It makes it really cool. Master Plan works with the Garrison one that I mentioned earlier for your WAD Garrison to better plan out the percentages and give some tweaks to the Garrison UI. One of my most important, Merchant Pro. What Merchant Pro does, and I'll bring Merchant Pro's window up because I really like Merchant Pro. Actually, let me move that there. Pop. Hey, I said, oh, I gotta close this one. Bear with me, guys. Pop. That's Merchant Pro. Anytime I talk to a vendor that can repair, it will automatically repair. I can use the guild bank to repair if I have that privilege or not. I have it marked that anything that's gray, it will attempt to sell. And obviously not everything that's gray will sell. There's a couple that just don't sell. And one of the most important ones is others. I have an others list. I can put anything on that others list, and as you see, there is a ton in there. And this list gets cleared out every so often by the default UI whenever there's a big enough patch. So what I can do is I can add stuff if I'm farming old raids. I can add any gear that I get to this, and the next time I'm at a vendor, it'll sell it automatically. And the next time I go into that raid, it'll still know it needs to be sold, and it'll sell it automatically. Another one of the nice functions of it is it's got restock. This is a lot less useful now than it was, say, in vanilla. Say in vanilla, I was a paladin, and I wanted to make sure I had those little onks all the time, or those little onks were the shamans. So say I was a shaman and I needed to have onks, right? Well, you would put a check mark in restock, put onks in the restock list, just like here, and it would add it. And you would tell it how much, how many of them. And every time you went to a vendor, it would buy enough to bring you up to that much. Which is also really good when hunters had ammo, that kind of thing. Anytime, if I always wanted to have 5 sacks of flour on me, I could have that in my restock list, and it would always, every time I went to a vendor that sold flour, if I didn't have 5 sacks of flour on me, it would buy 5 sacks of flour. Really, really useful. A lot less now, but the other parts of that add-on are are still really good. The next one, Micro Decline Duel, one of my favorite add-ons. As you guys know, I don't really PvP, and always having to stop to decline it can be a bit annoying. And that was actually a way that people would troll other people a lot, is they would just sit there and spam click to duel to people they knew wouldn't duel. It's a stupid troll, but it was a troll. Well, Micro Decline Duel does that for me. Tick, 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 tick. Just, I never even see it. Just declines it. I believe it puts a little note up in my my chat box there, and at which point I can say, yeah, report that guy. He's spamming. Report him. Really nice. One of my favorite things. The next one I don't use right now. I wish it worked properly. It's the only reason I'm keeping it. It takes your default this, where you have your health and you have your resource, and it makes them into 2 orbs, just like in Diablo 3. At the side of your default Blizzard UI bar, it'll put 2 orbs, one on each side. One's health, one's your energy, mana, focus, whatever you use. And it'll show them how full they are. It'll show the percentage. It'll show a base number as well. It's just cosmetic, but I really like it. Right now it's not working, but I'm keeping it just in case it starts to work. Mogget, you guys know Mogget. I'm sure you guys all know Mogget, but we'll explain it really quickly anyway. Essentially, when I mouse over a piece, if Mogget was working, a little picture of my toon wearing her bikini and this fist weapon would pop up, so I could see what the fist weapon looked like. That's all Mogget is. It can have sets, it can get a little bit more than that, but it's essentially all it is. And as I said, I was in raid earlier, so I got rid of it because I'm trying to keep my thing as streamlined as possible. Yeah, Mount Farm Helper, Mount Helper, Mount Info, Mount Spy. They're all part and parcel, do pretty much the same thing. I mouse over someone who's riding a particular mount. It tells me what mount it is, where it comes from, what I have to do to get it. Or when I enter a raid that has mounts that I might need, it tells me what they are, where to go in that raid to get them. All that's disabled right now. I don't use it very much anymore, but I might need it later, so I keep it around. Move anything. Move anything is cool. It essentially takes any part of Blizzard's UI and allows you to move it. Seriously. And it adds a button here to the default menu called Move Anything. So all I have to do is find... okay, let me just look at my extra action bar. Click on that. It's right here. I can drag it around and move it that way. Any part of Blizzard's UI I can do like that. Now, a lot of them are controlled through other add-ons like Bartender, but there are some that you can only find in Move Anything, and it's all in one handy little thing. It's really useful, and because it's clicking right here, it's a button, super useful. NPC scan, that pops up a little warning anytime there's a rare mob that I pass close enough or I mouse over. Really simple. Order Hall Commander, Garrison Commander, or War Mission Table Commander. Same thing, only for your Order Hall from Legion. Overachiever and its subs add-ons are for your achievement hunters out there. I'm not using it right now because I'm not super trying to fill out any achievements. If I ever went into... if I ever ran out of stuff to do, I would probably turn Overachiever on and look and see what achievements I need and don't have, or what I need for certain achievements. It makes this interface a lot nicer, right? It even has suggestions. It says, go finish Shadowmourne on your Paladin. That kind of thing. Paragon Reputation. It adds a little thing onto your reputation bar. Close the skin to show you. The reputation bars, I'm sure you've all seen them. Well, here's my Legion reputation bars. I'm exalted, right? Well, it puts a little thing here that's blue, and as it will put another thing in here that's blue, and it will show the progress of it as a blue bar, progress towards the next satchel for the Paragon reputations. So instead of having to move over the little satchel icon, it'll show me what I'm closest to. I don't think there's any caches that I can be close to at the moment because they're all in Legion. I haven't done Legion stuff in a long time. Okay, guys. We're almost there. Stick with me. You're the ones that wanted to know all this stuff. I warned you I had hundreds and thousands of little add-ons. Preserve My Companion. What that does is it makes sure that no other add-on summons a companion. There's a lot of add-ons out there that will summon a crab when you put on your fishing rod, or summon a companion, one of your battle pets. If I put a battle pet into this slot, it will automatically summon it. Oh, my battle pets are dead. I better res them since I'm standing here. So if I were to put the stunted Shardhorn here, it would summon it automatically. You look down. Oh, look, Hop's got his stunted Shardhorn out. Or not. Huh. I always used to do that. No wonder. No wonder I don't have the add-on add-on on. On. But that's what that is for. It keeps it from anything from summoning a companion that you don't want summoned deliberately. Quest noise. Quest noise. Whether I'm partial, whether I do something that contributes to a quest, it'll go ding. And when I finish everything that's needed in the quest and just have to go turn it in, it'll say work complete from Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. Again, same thing as your Elite Player Frame Enhanced. Really simple, really easy. Raid Achievement Finder, very much like those mount ones that I've mentioned earlier. Anytime I enter a raid, it'll bring up a list of achievements that you can do in that raid. The next is the set of Razor add-ons. Some of my favorite add-ons, I can't use them right now because they just don't work properly with BFA's UI. But the Razor Anasazi customizes your UI for use with the Anasazi keyboard, and the Razor Naga customizes your UI for use with the Razor Naga mouse, because the mouse has 12 buttons on the side of it and allows you to customize your command bars to look like that. And that's what I was saying earlier. RC Loot Council. This is my GM's favorite add-on of all time, I think. What it does is it facilitates using Loot Council in raids now that personal loot is the only loot option. Anytime you loot something that is capable of being traded, it will alert the person that is set as the loot master under RC Loot Council, and he will say, "Oh, hey cop, did you want that set of shoulders that you just got? I see that it's capable of being traded. Are you going to keep it for transmog? Are you going to keep it because it's got better stats on it?" Type of thing. But he'll just say, "Hey cop, you need that shoulders?" And I'll say yes or no. And then once he's done that, it gives you options for people rolling for it. Gives you options to actually use a loot council, all kinds of stuff. Really, really useful if you hate personal loot to get RC Loot Council. Works like butter. Recount. You know what recount is? You haven't done much raiding. Essentially, it can track things like your heals per second, damage per second, your threats, all kinds of stuff like that. I don't have it on because I care very little for that kind of thing. As long as the boss dies and everybody lives, I don't care how much DPS I do. Very little. Rogue Door Opener. This is a Legion add-on, and it's for rogues, so I don't have it turned on. What it does is, instead of having to go up to the dude and say, "Hey, can you open the door?" it'll automatically choose that function for you when you go up to the dude. Just removes a step. Satchel Scanner. Really nice add-on. What it does, and it's more for tanks and healers, but anytime you go into the group finding utility, it'll tell you if there's a bonus satchel for anything in here that you have marked that you're going to queue for. So say, and this does sometimes happen, say there's very few DPSs that are queuing for a random Battle for Azeroth dungeon, and a satchel is available for any DPS that do. Well, this glows, but what if by default I have Raid Finder up, and I don't have Dungeon Finder up, and what the Satchel Scanner will do is it'll tell me, "Hey, numbnuts, you can go and get yourself a satchel and possibly a mount if you go and queue for a random dungeon, and you'll get an instant queue," because that's what this means, right? Essentially, it's a call to arms, as you say. and it'll go through all of these and look for what is needed. Anywho, oops, I didn't mean to click on that. Gosh, I'm horrible at these videos. Again, if you've gotten this far, bless. Thank you so much. Two little things here. Mostly it's good for, say sapped is good for PvP, because anytime I get sapped, it will automatically slash say, I've been sapped. People will know there's a rogue around and use their AoEs to pop him out of stealth. Say mass res not only says there's being a mass res when I'm being mass resed, but anytime anybody in my group or my raid casts mass resurrection, it'll say Vicario is casting mass resurrection, 23 targets available. So it tells you how many people are being mass resed as well, which is a nice little add-on. Skada, same thing as recount, identical. Water elemental silencer and unbound water elemental silencer. Them things are loud as heck, and that's what that is for. Is it turns off the sound they make. I don't hear them anymore when I have it on. But there's none in my raid, so I don't worry about it when I'm raiding. Spell Flash, what essentially Spell Flash does is it lights things up when that's the best option for you. I have that unselected because I don't have any of its sub add-ons installed to tell Spell Flash when that's the best option. For instance, back in WoD, there used to be a Spell Flash module for interrupts, where it would flash Spearhand Strike whenever Spearhand Strike was a viable thing. So I would know that that was an interrupt that I could do. And it got more into that by it would have DPS rotations in there. DPS rotations is something of the past, especially for Windwalker Monks, so that's not something I have active, but it's something I keep on in case they bring the interrupt part back, because I really wish they would. Star Cursor, this is so good for me because I lose my cursor all the time in raid when I'm way zoomed out, or when I'm mount farming, or when I've been leveling for 60 hours. I can sometimes just not see my cursor. But the more I move my cursor, like the faster I move it, the bigger the star that it puts beside it. And I slow down and just a little cursor, a little star. It just makes it easier to see. Storyline is an add-on for questing. It brings up an enhanced quest window. If you've seen me stream, I'm sure you've seen it. It'll show me and whatever NPC or object I'm interacting with. It'll put us up, and it'll slowly scroll the quest text. And it'll increase the size of the quest text, which is also something that Leatrix does, is increases the size of the quest text, which is why right at the moment, since I'm not questing, I can have storyline off, but Leatrix on. That's why I have Leatrix on. Thank goodness I remembered. I knew running down this list would be worth it. Next is Undermine Journal. The Undermine Journal is a website that logs every single transaction on every single auction house, on every single realm that World of Warcraft exists. So it knows that these runes sold for X number of gold, and it will add that to the tooltip, and I'm not sure why it's not adding that to the tooltip at the moment, but it will normally add that to the tooltip of everything that it can. Oh, there we go. It's because that was the button for it. And you'll see that the 3-day price for these runes is 364 gold, 41 silver. That's what they sold for most often in the last 3 days on this realm. The US middle price is 366 gold. And the standard deviation, how much they normally sell for, that deviates. I'm not going to go into the math, but they deviate by about 129 gold, which tells me that, you know, they can really, I can really watch and maybe get a good deal from them. It's for use with people who are really, really good at playing the auction house. I'm not, but I do like to know what things should be going for, especially when I'm going to auction stuff. TomTom is this here. It's a set of coordinates. If I'm looking for mob XYZ, and I just cannot find him, even though he's supposed to be in a little circle on my minimap. And I go to Wowhead, and I see in the comments that he's at 8238, 4275, but the entrance is at 8037, 4245, and I can know where to go, right? Probably the next one is probably one of the most important add-ons you can have if you're going to be a serious WoW player. Okay? It's called Weak Auras. It's actually called Weak Auras 2. What Weak Auras does is practically everything. It adds UI elements. It watches for certain things and adds UI elements. If you've ever seen me level a toon, you'll notice what level it is will be in a big white font right here. That's a weak aura that shows what level that toon is at and stops showing it when I get to max level. There's weak auras for different boss effects. For instance, there's one on Vectis in Mythic Aldir, where if you have more than 6 stacks of A and Vectis is about to do B, you need to move out of range of 5 yards of everybody else or you're going to wipe the raid. Well, when that happens, if I have 6 stacks, it brings up a little red circle. If there's anybody within 5 yards, if I move outside of that, and it shows where they are in that circle, I can move out of that in time before it goes off. The circle turns green, nobody's in the way. That goes off, nobody's hurt by it. I go back in and continue DPS. Really, really important. That's basically the surface of what it does, but it's so much more than that. There is a website called wago.io, wago.io. It's got weak auras for literally everything. Here's a weak aura, I just remembered. Down here, this is a weak aura for Windwalker monks. It essentially shows me everything I need to know about my cooldowns, whether I've broken mastery or not, because it'll show me the last thing I did. It shows me how much energy I have, and if I had any chi, there'd be little green balls on here showing me how much chi I had. It's a real help for knowing, okay, I just used Tiger Palm. I had to run away and do something. Doesn't matter how long until my next bit of combat. If I use Tiger Palm again, without dropping combat, it's going to break my mastery, which is a big thing for Windwalkers because our mastery is if you don't repeat something, your damage increases by such and such a percent. Holy is the dependency for that Grail add-on I was talking about earlier, and it allows that Grail add-on to work so we know what we have and haven't done. Okay, World Quest Party. What that does is if I enter a zone with a World Quest, it'll pop up a little thing and it will search for other people with this add-on. And if there are people with that add-on, it'll invite me to their group automatically, and it'll say, Metro LOL has invited you to his group. Accept, cancel. And I can accept or cancel. And it does most of it automatically. It's a lot like World Quest Group Finder was, only it's only on my realm. So it doesn't break the game the way that World Quest Group Finder could, at least according to Blizzard. Talk about that in stream sometime. World Quest Tracker tracks World Quest, displays them on the map, so you can get a sleek little thing that shows what World Quests are available in a zone just by hovering over that zone. WoW DB Profiler and Wowhead Looter basically track what you do and what you loot and sends the information to Wowhead. It's how they data mine. WoW Pro, not something I generally use, something I tried for a couple of my leveling streams. It says, hey, you can go here and do this, you can go there and do that. It shows you what quests you have and haven't done. But as you saw earlier, we've got that already. Zan Mortar Pestle. For some of the professions, there is the option to break down bits of profession mats. For instance, if I'm a scribe, an inscriptionist, scribe, whatever you want to call them, and I have herbs, I need to mill those herbs before I can turn the paste that comes from milling them into an ink. Well, what Zan Mortar Pestle does is it allows me to hold down the Alt key, press right click, and it will mill 5 of those herbs that I've just hovered over. Instead of clicking on mill, then clicking on the herb, it just streamlines it. At the moment, I'm an alchemist, so I have no use for it, so it's disabled. But on my Death Knight, who is a scribe, as I said, or inscriptionist if you prefer, it allows you to do that. It's not as useful now that we have mass milling spells as it used to be. Because it used to be you had to go mill 5 herbs, mill 5 herbs, mill 5. Now we've got mass mill and we can create all kinds of handy things. But until you get those mass mill spells, or for a jewel crafter, it's where you break down the ore into jewels, or if you're an enchanter, it disenchants it. Until you get those mass spells for that, that's what you can use and make it a little easier. X-Loot! Oh, this is such a good little thing. It streamlines the loot notification. So anytime I loot anything, instead of getting a big old pop-up that says, hey, you looted 5 bear asses, it'll put a little skinny streamline thing in white, and you don't even notice it. You can also modify it so it filters it based on the rarity. So maybe I have it set so it only tells me about things that are disenchantable because I'm enchanter, what have you. And it puts them wherever I want it. So it could have it here, it could have it here, it could have it here. All kinds of good stuff. And it'll also show the item level of what you got. Again, there's a couple of these that overlap a little bit, but that's good because if one stops working because of a patch, I've got a couple other ways to do it. And the final one, before I go to, before it's just done, because the rest are Blizzard ones that just come with the game. It's called Zone Achievement Tracker. When I have that check marked, it will add an achievement tracker to here for each zone. Essentially what it does is if I go to here to quests, and I go here to, I'm in the Eastern Kingdoms, and right now I'm in Eversong Woods, let's say. So let's bring up Eversong Woods. So I don't think I've done very many of them here on this person. Oh, come now. Did I miss it? Well, let's say Ghostlands instead. I would go like that. As you can see, Ghostlands quest pops up. It would do that automatically as soon as I entered the Ghostlands. Oh, that's right, because there's no achievement for the starting zones. We're in a starting zone. That's why it doesn't have Eversong Woods. My bad. So that's it. That's essentially all the add-ons I use. It's a lot, I know. It's really a lot. We've been doing this for an hour. It's going to be an hour and 5 minutes by the time I'm done the video. If you made it through, 5 bonus cop points, and please let me know in the comments that you got your 5 bonus cop points for you. Thanks for dropping by. I want you all to take care. Have a great day. Peace. Cop out.